Where's my notes? All right. Let's do this. What's up, guys? My name's Lewes, and I'm from andnowjustlisten, here with a special news you knew already, maybe you didn't know already, because it just happened the last couple days, and if you were working or something, maybe you didn't catch up. E3 press conference recap, kind of more. Let's talk about what I thought was cool. So we're going to start with EA. They were first up noonish on Sunday. EA talked about a lot of sports games. They talked about as little as possible, it seemed like. They came out and said, you know, we got all these Star Wars games, but they're a long ways away. We got Mass Effect Andromeda. We're not going to say anything about it. And then we talked about FIFA and Madden for like half an hour. So I was pretty disappointed with the EA press conference. You know, I have nothing against sports games. I've played plenty of sports games in my time and had a lot of fun with them, but I feel like they're not press conference material because they're kind of a known quantity. You know, you're going to get some iterations on Madden. You're going to get some iterations on FIFA. You'll get your iterations on all of them, but it's still a football game. It's still a soccer game. And I thought it was really weird that they spent a lot of time talking about Madden esports. That was super, super funky. And I was very, very disappointed at the lack of anything to say about Mass Effect Andromeda. You know, it got pushed back a little bit, but I thought for sure that they would have something to say substantial about that game this year, and they sure did not. Up next on the day was the Bethesda press conference. I thought wholly a much more enjoyable press conference. They showed a lot more game stuff and a lot less just people talking at you. They started off with this new Quake thing they didn't talk too much about. Dishonored 2 was obviously featured pretty heavily. Elder Scrolls Online. I think they talked about their new card game a little bit. They talked about Skyrim Remastered, and they talked about Prey. And I thought Dishonored and Prey were the highlights of the show. Prey is not Prey 2 and is not a remake or a reboot or anything to do with old Prey. This is just a new game that also happens to be called Prey, is kind of the way it read to me. It looked really cool. It looks very survival horror-y. I don't know how much of the survival. It looks like a scary game. And there haven't been too many that have been enticing to me lately, and that's exciting because I enjoy those games quite a bit. And been looking for something to kind of fill that void ever since I finished up Soma. And yeah, so very excited to see more about that. That game's a long way off though, I think, so we'll have more time to learn about that in upcoming shows and press events and whatnot. The other game, Dishonored 2, much closer. I believe it's coming out this fall. Don't know an exact date on that. But it looked real cool. It looked like, you know, Dishonored, more of it. Improved, more powers, more interesting powers, it looked like. I really am hoping for some more meat on that game. The first game, I thought actually understayed its welcome a little bit. I would have loved a little bit more of that game. And I think the coolest thing they showed of it was some gameplay where you have like this little lens thing on your wrist and you look through it to look back in time, and you can affect it. I don't know, it's crazy. It's this whole time bending thing in this weird building. Go check out the gameplay of it. It's really hard to describe, but when you see it, it looks super cool. And I think Dishonored 2 has a lot of potential to be really great. Kicking things off on Monday, Microsoft started the morning, and they had a lot to say, actually, and a lot of good things to say. Among my favorites was Forza Horizon. That looked really cool. That finally kind of looked like the Forza Horizon that I could really get on board with. Some really diverse environments, set in Australia, so there's some cool places to go racing. The trailer ended with like a Lamborghini racing on the beach against a dune buggy and some other stuff. It looked really, really cool. And I haven't played any of the Forza Horizon games because I haven't had Xbox One, so I've missed out. I can't remember if the first one came out on 360. I don't think it did, but anyways, that game looked really cool. and I think that'll be a really fun racing game for both harder core, I hate saying that, and more casual arcadey race fans alike. And the other game that I thought looked really neat that I didn't know much about was that Sea Thief pirate game where you crew a ship all together, and there's like really cool looking ship combat. That game looked super, super impressive. I thought that game looked very, very cool. And a lot of what Microsoft had to show looked pretty good. Gears of War 4 was there. They talked about their new Slim console. They talked about the Scorpio thing, which looks like it's going to be a pretty significant hardware upgrade. And one of the coolest things I thought too was the new customizable controller, all kinds of colors. You can get your name on it. It looked really sweet and is something that I think has been overdue from first party for a long, long time. Up second on the day, Ubisoft was around the luncheon hour, and their show was okay. I wasn't super excited by anything that I saw from them. They showed Wildlands, they showed For Honor, they showed this new extreme sports mountain game that looked kind of like more serious SSX, which I don't know how... It looked okay, but I wasn't super excited by it. They showed Watch Dogs 2, a lot of Watch Dogs 2. They talked about the Assassin's Creed movie. They talked about South Park, which that stage demo went on for far too long. And I think that's kind of Ubisoft's problem generally, is that their stuff goes on too long. And I feel like all their games are taking themselves a little too seriously. Ghost Recon Wildlands is a really good example. That game looks like kind of, it's an open world sandboxy co-op thing. And I get that they want it to be like this tactical Tom Clancy feel game, but man, if it just took itself a little less seriously, I think it would be a lot more fun to watch. I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays. I'm sure there'll be a lot of information kind of flooding out as people are allowed to talk about what they've played and play it this week. Other than that, there, not too much really grabbed onto me. For Honor looked cooler to me when they showed it this time than the last time I saw it. It looks potentially interesting, so that could be up your alley. Watch Dogs 2, I played the first Watch Dogs briefly and didn't care for it, so all in all, Ubisoft did alright, but not really feeling anything coming down the pike from them. Last up on the day, Sony ended the evening slot, and their press conference was a little scattered. There was a lot of footage and not a lot of talking about anything, which was really confusing for their VR block, which it's not super clear whether Resident Evil 7, which was announced, is going to be completely in VR or it's a little bit of it in VR. I think it's all in VR, but it's also going to be not in VR. And then the rest of the stuff that they showed for VR was all super tech demo looking, non-interesting. Like, they are doing nothing to sell me on a $400 hardware thing coming out this fall. They did announce a date, I believe October 13 for the PSVR. In addition, they talked about a new God of War game, which looks like Kratos is just a Viking now. That's kind of weird, but looks like a very different type of game as well. So if you didn't like the old God of War games, this might be more up your alley. They also showed Horizon Zero Dawn in a more extended gameplay demo, and man, that game looks like a lot of fun. I was super impressed by that game last year. I thought it was a very interesting setting and concept for a game, and I think this year what they showed of it has me very, very excited to check that out when it's out early next year. Hideo Kojima's also got stuff to show, apparently. Norman Reedus is going to be in his new thing. It was the biggest, like, we're going to make this PT game over here since you said no, Konami. God, it slipped my mind for a minute there. So that trailer was bananas and really interesting. They showed a lot of blips of this and that, Final Fantasy 15. The only indie stuff they showed was in a sizzle reel they never talked about any of it. Like I said, I think Sony maybe needed to say some more things about some of that stuff. They kind of just wanted to show stuff, and I think they showed and didn't talk. They didn't talk enough and showed for too much. Like, somebody getting out there and talking a little bit about a few of those things might have been okay. Or even just somebody being out there like, this is the end of our VR. Now we're going to show you something else. Because the VR stuff rolled right into Call of Duty, and it was kind of unclear. The way that trailer started, it looked like it could be another VR thing, but then it's like, as it went on, kind of like, I think this is just probably Call of Duty campaign. Anyways, that's it. I thought the press conferences were a lot of fun, as they always are. And, you know, they're all on VODs. If you want to go check those out, I think a lot of them are worth a watch, especially that Sony one, despite everything, came pretty fast and furious, so it's very watchable. Microsoft one was good, Bethesda was good. The EA one, I don't think you should bother with. Ubisoft, it depends on how you're feeling about some of those properties. Anyways, that's it for me today. Thanks for tuning into the video once again. E3 is always an exciting time of year, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and give us a like and give us a sub if you like our stuff. That would help us out a whole lot. And stay tuned for more content coming up, and we've got a podcast coming out talking about E3 as well. And I'll see you guys for more next week.